In the distant future, Earth was no longer the center of human civilization. For centuries, humanity had spread out across the stars, building colonies on distant planets and moons. The old home planet, once bustling with life and energy, had become quiet, a place few cared to visit. Most people thought Earth was just a forgotten world, lost in time and history. Deep beneath Earth's surface, far from the busy cities and green fields, lay a secret that had waited silently for centuries. Hidden in a vast underground vault was something no one on the surface knew about. It was a fleet, a collection of ancient battleships that once defended Earth from great dangers. These ships had not sailed the stars for hundreds of years. They were powerful, silent giants sleeping in darkness. On one of the outer colonies on a dusty planet called Rylon 7, a team of archaeologists worked to uncover lost knowledge. Among them was a young woman named Mira. She had always been fascinated by old stories about Earth's past, stories told by her grandfather. He spoke of a time when humans fought fierce wars in space, and how Earth's mighty ships were legends across the galaxy. Mira and her team had discovered a strange signal coming from Earth's orbit, a hidden beacon. The signal was weak but steady, like a call from the past. They decided to investigate. After months of preparation, they sent a small expedition back to Earth hoping to find answers. When the team arrived in Earth's orbit, they were surprised by what they saw. Below them was the old vault, a massive structure built into the planet's crust. Its entrance was covered by thick layers of rock and metal, but the signal came from inside. With careful planning, the team landed near the entrance and began their work to open it. The vault was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its doors were enormous, made of a metal unknown to modern science. Strange symbols and carvings decorated the walls, telling stories that seemed both familiar and alien. Mira studied the symbols carefully. They told of battles fought long ago, of enemies that came from the far reaches of space, and of the heroes who fought to protect Earth. Inside the vault, the air was cold and still. Lights flickered on as the team moved deeper. They found halls lined with control rooms, training centers, and workshops filled with advanced technology. At the heart of the vault were the battleships, large, sleek vessels designed for war. They were covered in dust but looked as strong as the day they were built. Mira could hardly believe what she saw. The ships were much larger than any modern warship, equipped with weapons and shields far beyond current technology. Each ship had a unique design, but all shared a sense of power and purpose. It was clear these ships had been created during a time when Earth had to fight for survival. The team began the difficult task of bringing the ships back to life. They worked day and night, repairing systems and reconnecting power sources. Slowly, the ship's engines hummed back to life, their lights shining like stars in the dark vault. As the ships awakened, so did the fleet's artificial intelligence. The AI was old but highly advanced. It began to communicate with the team, sharing information about its creators and the battles they had fought. The AI spoke of a time when Earth was under attack by an unknown enemy, a force so powerful it threatened to destroy all life on the planet. Mira listened closely. The AI said that the fleet had been hidden away to protect it from the enemy, who had been defeated but not destroyed. The fleet was a last hope, meant to rise again if the enemy ever returned. News of the discovery spread quickly across human colonies. Many were excited, hoping the ancient fleet could protect them in these uncertain times. Others were fearful. The galaxy had changed and new powers had risen. Some wondered if Earth was ready to face its old enemies once more. Meanwhile, strange things began happening in space near Earth. Cosmic storms and energy waves appeared without warning. Satellites detected unusual readings, and some ships reported seeing mysterious shadows moving between the stars. It was as if the galaxy itself was stirring, responding to the fleet's awakening. Mira felt a deep responsibility. The ancient fleet was not just a relic. It was a symbol of Earth's strength and resilience. She knew that the team had only begun to uncover its secrets. The past was calling, and humanity's future might depend on answers buried long ago. At night, Mira stood on the surface looking up at the stars. She thought about the stories her grandfather told, the heroes who fought to keep Earth safe and the battles that had shaped their history. Now it seemed that history was returning. With the fleet coming back to life, a new chapter was about to begin. One where Earth's forgotten power could rise again and remind the galaxy why humanity should never be underestimated. The ancient battle fleet had been silent for centuries, buried deep beneath Earth's surface. Now, as the lights flickered on and engines began to hum, the fleet was slowly waking up from a long sleep. The hum was soft at first, like a distant heartbeat, but soon it grew stronger, filling the great halls of the underground vault. Mira and her team worked tirelessly. Every day they studied the control panels, the star charts, and the strange symbols etched into the metal walls of the ships. They were learning to speak the language of the fleet's artificial intelligence, the mind behind the ship's systems. The AI's voice was calm and clear. It introduced itself as Aegis. It spoke of the fleet's creators, Earth's defenders from a time when the galaxy was a wild and dangerous place. Aegis told stories of battles fought against enemies that had tried to wipe out humanity. The fleet was designed not only for war but for protection, to guard Earth and its people no matter the cost. Mira listened with growing awe. The fleet's technology was far beyond what modern humans could imagine. The ship's weapons used energy beams that could cut through the thickest armor. Their shields could absorb attacks that would destroy ordinary vessels. The AI showed them holographic maps of old battlefields, where Earth's defenders had pushed back invaders. But the most fascinating part was the fleet's ability to learn and adapt. Aegis explained that the ships were linked by a powerful network, allowing them to share information instantly. This network made the fleet almost like a single living being, moving and fighting together with perfect coordination. As the fleet came to life, so did the minds of the crew chosen to pilot the ships. Mira was assigned to one of the larger vessels called the Titan's Wrath. The name itself spoke of power and strength. Boarding the ship, Mira felt a rush of excitement and responsibility. She was now part of a legacy that stretched back thousands of years. Training began immediately. The crew learned to control the ships, practice maneuvers, and understand the complex systems that powered their new home in space. The ancient AI guided them, sometimes with patience and sometimes with firm commands. It pushed them to think like the warriors of old, to be ready for the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, news of the fleet's awakening reached Earth's other colonies. Some governments were thrilled, eager to have the fleet's protection. Others were cautious, worried about the power this old technology might hold. Alien civilizations watching from afar grew curious and suspicious. The galaxy had not forgotten Earth, even if humans had tried to. The discovery also sparked debates. Scientists and politicians argued about what the fleet meant for humanity's future. Should they use it to expand their influence, or was it better to keep the fleet as a symbol, a reminder of times when survival was harder? As discussions continued, strange events near Earth grew more frequent. Energy storms pulsed across the solar system, making space travel dangerous. Satellites recorded bursts of unknown energy. Astronomers noticed unusual movements in distant star systems. The ancient AI, Aegis, warned that these were signs of an approaching threat, a force that once challenged Earth's safety and could return to do so again. The fleet's awakening had stirred something in the galaxy, drawing attention from both friends and foes. One evening, as Mira stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, the ship's sensors detected an incoming message. It was from an unknown source, encrypted and urgent. The message spoke of a shadow fleet moving through deep space, heading toward the solar system. The crew worked quickly to decode the message. It was a warning from an alien explorer who had spotted the approaching fleet. The warning was clear. Earth was not alone, and old enemies might be returning. Mira felt a chill run through her. The stories her grandfather told were no longer just tales, they were warnings. The ancient battles might begin again, and the fleet's true test was near. As the days passed, the fleet prepared for the worst. Ships were repaired, weapons calibrated, and crews drilled. Earth's colonies sent reinforcements, uniting in a way not seen for generations. The ancient fleet was becoming the heart of a new defense system. At the same time, Mira discovered something surprising. The AI Aegis held memories not only of battles but of hope. It spoke of peace treaties made long ago, of alliances formed, and of the dream that humanity could one day live without fear of war. Mira believed in that dream. But she also knew that to protect it, they must first be ready to face the coming storm. In the quiet moments before dawn, Mira looked out at the stars. The ancient fleet, once forgotten, now stood ready. The ghosts of Earth's past had returned, not to haunt but to fight for the future. The stars had always seemed peaceful to Mira, especially when she stood on the bridge of the Titan's wrath, watching the endless blackness dotted with shining lights. But now those distant points of light felt different. Some of them blinked with unfamiliar patterns, signals that spoke of danger and old rivalries. The warning from the alien explorer had spread quickly. Earth's colonies, once scattered and separate, were coming together. Fleet ships, old and new, gathered near Earth, ready to protect their home planet. The ancient battle fleet, once forgotten, was becoming the galaxy's beacon of hope. Still, many people did not believe that a great enemy was returning. After all, the war that had driven Earth to build this fleet was ancient, almost a myth to younger generations. But Mira knew better. She had seen the fleet's memories and heard Aegis's stories. She knew that history could repeat itself if they were not careful. One day, the fleet's long-range sensors picked up something disturbing. Far beyond the solar system, moving with slow but steady speed, was a massive armada. Hundreds of ships traveled together, their shapes dark and strange, unlike anything the modern fleets had seen. The fleet's AI identified them instantly. These were the Zalrath, an enemy so feared that their name was whispered with dread in ancient texts. The Zalrath had once tried to destroy Earth, a force of cold warriors with advanced technology and no mercy. Aegis's voice was calm but serious. "The Zalrath are returning," it said. "They have been watching Earth and its colonies. They seek to finish what was started long ago." Panic spread through the fleet. Many young officers had never faced such a threat. Some feared they would fail. But Mira felt a strange calm inside her. She thought of the stories from the past, of humans fighting not just with weapons but with heart and courage. She gathered with other leaders to plan their next move. "We have the fleet," Mira said firmly. "We have the experience and the technology that our ancestors left us. We must prepare, learn, and fight together." The commanders agreed. The fleet began moving closer to Earth's orbit, forming a strong defense. Pilots practiced battle formations. Engineers repaired weapons, and strategists studied every piece of information about the Zalrath. The ancient AI shared valuable knowledge. It showed them how Earth's defenders had once outsmarted the Zalrath, using clever tactics and the environment to their advantage. The old battles had been fierce and costly, but the human spirit had never been broken. As the armada grew nearer, communications from Earth's colonies became urgent. Citizens sent messages of hope and fear, asking if the fleet could protect them. Mira read each message carefully, feeling the weight of responsibility. One night, the fleet's sensors detected a sudden burst of energy near the outer edge of the solar system. The Zalrath were making their first move. Scouts and smaller ships entered Earth's space, testing defenses and sending warnings. The ancient fleet responded quickly. The Titan's Wrath and other vessels launched patrols to intercept the enemy. Mira took command of one mission, leading a squadron to engage the scouts. The battle was intense but brief. The Zalrath scouts were fast and aggressive, but the human ships fought with skill and determination. Using tactics learned from Aegis, they managed to drive the enemy back. Though victorious, the battle was a clear warning. The Zalrath were not here for small skirmishes. They were preparing for a full-scale invasion. Back on Earth, governments declared a state of emergency. Citizens rallied behind the fleet, united by a common goal: protect their home and prove that humanity was stronger than any threat. Mira spent hours training with her crew, teaching them to trust both the old technology and their own instincts. She reminded them that courage was just as important as weapons. One day, during a briefing, Aegis revealed a surprising secret. The Zalrath were once part of a larger alliance, the AI explained. Long ago, they betrayed their allies and were cast out. Their hatred for Earth is personal. This knowledge changed the fleet's strategy. They realized that the enemy's anger was not just about territory or power. It was about revenge. The fleet prepared for what might be the greatest battle in human history. Yet Mira knew that the fight was about more than ships and weapons. It was about the future of humanity and the hope that they could rise above fear. As the enemy armada approached the edge of the solar system, Mira stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, watching the stars. The forgotten enemy was here. The battle was about to begin. But so was a new story, one of courage, unity, and the unbreakable human spirit. The calm before the storm was brief. The ancient battle fleet, once silent for centuries, was now awake and ready. The Titan's Wrath led the charge alongside other vessels, their engines glowing bright against the dark backdrop of space. The tension on every ship was palpable. Every crew member knew this could be the fight that decided humanity's future. Mira stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, eyes scanning the stars ahead. Through the massive viewports, the enemy armada slowly came into view, hundreds of ships moving with quiet menace. The Zalrath fleet was vast, their dark hulls reflecting the distant light of the sun. "Battle stations," Mira ordered. Her voice was steady but carried the weight of command. "All units prepare to engage." The ships responded immediately. Shields hummed to life, weapon systems powered up, and crew members took their positions. The Titan's Wrath's AI, Aegis, coordinated the fleet, directing movements with precise timing. The first shots came from the Zalrath, energy beams streaking across space, aiming to break through the fleet's shields. The ancient ship's defenses absorbed the attacks, their shields glowing with blue energy. Mira watched the displays carefully, noting weak points and areas that needed extra protection. "Return fire," she commanded. The Titan's Wrath's cannons unleashed powerful beams that cut through the enemy's front lines. The fleet moved like a living organism, weaving through space with careful precision. It was a dance of light and power, destruction and defense. Despite the chaos, the human crews fought with calm determination. The ancient tactics Aegis taught them proved useful. They used the environment, the asteroid fields and debris around Earth's orbit, to hide and surprise their enemy. Ships appeared and disappeared, striking quickly before pulling back. Mira's squadron focused on the Zalrath command ships. These vessels were heavily armored and dangerous, directing the enemy's forces with ruthless efficiency. Taking them down would disrupt the Zalrath's coordination. As the battle raged, Mira remembered the stories of Earth's ancient warriors, how they fought with more than just weapons. They fought with heart, courage, and the hope for a better future. She felt their spirit inside her. Suddenly, alarms blared on the Titan's Wrath. An enemy fighter squadron was breaking through their outer defenses, heading straight for the ship's core systems. Mira's crew sprang into action. "Deploy interceptors," Mira ordered. Small, fast ships launched from the Titan's Wrath, meeting the enemy fighters in a fierce dogfight. The bridge shook as weapons fired and explosions lit the darkness. Mira focused on the battle ahead, coordinating her pilots with precision. The Zalrath fighters were skilled, but human pilots fought with determination and teamwork. Slowly, they pushed the attackers back. Meanwhile, the larger ships exchanged devastating blows. One of the fleet's heavy cruisers took a direct hit and began to lose power. The crew worked frantically to save the ship, while others moved to protect it. Amidst the battle, Mira received a message from Aegis. "Captain, the enemy is deploying a new weapon, an energy storm generator. It could disrupt our shields if we don't act quickly." Mira knew what this meant. If the Zalrath activated the storm, the fleet's defenses would weaken and the enemy could break through. She had to stop them. "Target the generator," she ordered. "All units focus fire on their central ships." The fleet adjusted its attack, concentrating beams on the Zalrath vessels carrying the generator. The enemy responded with fierce resistance, sending waves of fighters and missile barrages. The battle became a fierce contest of will. Every move mattered, every shot counted. The Titan's Wrath's crew worked together, relying on training and trust. Suddenly, a powerful explosion rocked the enemy fleet. One of the key ships carrying the energy storm generator was destroyed. The storm faltered. Mira allowed herself a brief moment of relief. The tide was turning, but the battle was far from over. The Zalrath still fought fiercely, desperate to win. As the fight continued, Mira noticed a pattern in the enemy's movements, an opening in their formation. It was risky, but could give the fleet a chance to strike a decisive blow. "Prepare for a flanking maneuver," she said. "We'll hit them where they least expect it." The fleet moved swiftly, weaving through debris and using the shadows of planets to hide their approach. The element of surprise was their greatest weapon. When they struck, the Zalrath were caught off guard. Human ships poured fire into their vulnerable side, breaking through their defenses. The enemy armada began to falter. Mira felt a surge of hope. The ancient fleet was proving its strength. The spirit of Earth's defenders was alive and fierce. In the midst of the chaos, Mira thought of her grandfather's stories, how humanity had survived because it never gave up, no matter the odds. She knew this battle was part of that story. a new chapter of courage and determination. Hours passed and the Zalrath began to retreat. The human fleet pressed their advantage, driving the enemy back beyond the solar system. The battle was won, but at a cost. Many ships were damaged and lives had been lost. Yet the victory was a powerful reminder. Earth and its people were not weak. They were fighters, survivors, and defenders of their home. Back on the Titan's wrath, Mira stood on the bridge looking at the stars once more. The fleet was battered but alive. The ancient ships had roared back to life and had shown the galaxy that humanity would not be forgotten. As the fleet regrouped and prepared for what might come next, Mira felt a deep pride. The battle was rekindled, but so was the hope for a peaceful future. The ancient fleet had awakened, and with it, the unbreakable spirit of Earth. The battle had ended, but its echoes still rang through the halls of the ancient fleet. The stars outside the Titan's wrath sparkled quietly, no longer filled with the chaos of war. The enemy had been pushed back, but the cost was clear. Ships bore scars from laser fire and explosions, and the crew moved with tired steps, feeling the weight of what they had survived. Mira stood on the bridge, looking at Earth far below, a blue and green jewel shining in the blackness of space. For the first time in centuries, Earth was no longer forgotten. The ancient fleet had brought her home, not just to the planet but to the heart of humanity's strength. Messages from the colonies poured in, voices filled with relief and hope. The battle had united them in a way no one expected. Old rivalries faded as people saw that their future depended on working together. The fleet's victory was a symbol that humanity could face any challenge and come through stronger. Mira met with other leaders to discuss the future. "This victory is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy is vast and full of unknown dangers, but it is also full of opportunities. We must use this moment to build something new. Stronger alliances, better defenses, and a shared vision for peace." The leaders agreed. Plans were made to repair damaged ships, improve technology, and expand communication between colonies. Scientists worked with the fleet's AI, Aegis, to unlock secrets hidden in the ancient ships, knowledge that could help humanity grow. But more than technology or strategy, the battle had reminded everyone of something deeper. The true power of humanity was its spirit, courage, unity, and hope. These were the things that had carried them through dark times and would guide them forward. Mira often thought about the sacrifices made during the war. She remembered the faces of those who fought bravely, and those who gave their lives for a future they would never see. Their memory was a light that would never fade. One evening, as the fleet orbited Earth, Mira stood outside the Titan's wrath, looking up at the stars. The quiet of space was peaceful now, but it was also full of promise. Aegis joined her through the ship's communication system. "Captain, the fleet is ready for the next phase." Mira smiled. "Thank you, Aegis, we have much to do." Together they watched the horizon, knowing that the road ahead would not be easy. But with the fleet's ancient power and humanity's unbreakable spirit, they were ready. The old legends had returned to life, and so had the hope for a new dawn, one where Earth and its people would shine brightly among the stars.